Hi, I'm Bill Laberis from IDG. I'm also the Content Director for the Cloud Powered Work Resource Forum. And I'm very happy today to be joined by Nancy Newkirk. Now, Nancy is the Vice President of Technology and CIO of my company, IDG, and a longtime colleague and friend. Nancy, thank you very much for joining us here today.
Glad to do it, Bill.
So your central IT group supports a lot of different users and a lot of different divisions. If you will, just describe for us a little bit today kind of the current state of affairs as it relates to the different types of productivity tools and arrangements that you have for that are present for the different users and the different divisions.
Sure. You know, given the industry we're in, we have a lot of different tools, and we allow a lot of independence to our employees. So if a department wants to go out and get something, we pretty much let that happen. So what ends up is we have a patchwork. We have a lot of different things, a lot of different places, and then this department who's used to this tool gets frustrated because they're trying to work with this department who doesn't have that tool and they don't know what to do. We also recently just took on supporting IT for a couple other divisions in IDG, and they're on different email platforms and calendaring platforms than the one that we have for most of the people that we support. So it's a real mix.
Mm-hmm. And look, I've been at IDG since, well, for a long time, let's say, and I've seen it all grow and develop, and it probably is really no different than a lot of companies that have developed over time. You do have this patchwork. Now, my understanding is we're going to be moving, to a large number of people under your IT control, essentially to a unified cloud solution.
Yes.
All right, what led to that?
Well, taking on the other divisions led to it a little bit because the email and calendaring was really an issue. One president was responsible for two different divisions, couldn't calendar, see the free busy time, address book updates were not reliable between different systems, so that was sort of an impetus. But we'd been looking at it for a while. Our on-premise solution is aged, and it's always difficult when it's just email and calendaring to find the right time to change it, to make that investment, to move it to the next version when it's on premise, you know, because it's a big planning exercise, it's an expense, and when's the right time to do it when you're really not giving employees anything additional.
Wow.
So when we looked at that whole environment, we said, all right, maybe this is really the time to move into the cloud. And all the cloud offerings that have email and calendaring offer a lot of other tools in addition to that. And so we wouldn't just be making an investment and you still have email. Mm-hmm. You'd have email plus. And we thought that was a really great story.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look at this from three perspectives. One, what it's going to mean to the end users, moi, and my friends.
It's all about me.
Yeah. Then what it will mean to IT, in your support group, and ultimately what it will mean to the company here, IDG. So let's take it from the employee's perspective first. How is this going to benefit we, the employees?
So about 450 employees are on our on-premise solution that we've been supporting for years. For them, it's the same solution in the cloud. So for them, the interface will be the same, the calendaring will be the same. So it minimizes that training, change, trauma, you know, all the things that happen there. For the other 150 or so that now we're going to be moving, they are going to go through a little bit of that, but in the end, they're going to be on a consolidated platform with the other 450. They're going to be able to calendar, see the free busy time, the address book. It's going to make a big difference. For everybody, if we all do our jobs well, we're going to get all the other benefits that come along with this cloud platform. So some of the collaboration tools, the file sharing tools, the ability to do project tracking and different things in it is going to make a big difference. We don't have that kind of solution right now that can work across divisions and departments, and I think that's going to be a big difference.
I tell you, speaking from my own experience here in the Custom Solutions Division, those collaboration aspects and the amount of sharing that we try to do, and it's always in a kludge if we try to bring another department, will be just awesome.
Yeah,
so
good.
That'll be great.
Good.
How about the benefits that you anticipate for IT of moving to the cloud-based solution?
So, you know, cloud's always interesting for IT groups, right? Like half of you is a little worried you're going to lose your job because you aren't necessary anymore.
Yeah, no chance.
No, not really. But, you know, you sort of, I think you guys write about that.
Yes,
so
we do.
It's really your fault.
Don't believe everything you read, though.
So what happens is we get to dump some of the stuff that's really the unglamorous, awful part of being in IT. Patches to servers, maintenance to systems, backups, you know, all those things that really is not a fun part of being in IT, having to do that stuff off hours because it is email, and when's a good time to bring down email, right? Like almost never, given our population, the traveling, the different time zones. It's really difficult to do, to find that 2-hour slot when you can do something. So we're getting rid of all that. And what that lets us do in general, and I think sort of to your point about benefiting the business, is it lets us focus on the things that are going to move the business forward. Email does not move the business forward. It just has to be there, right? So it's like, what are those other things that we can be doing that'll really help us be a better business?
And that is exactly what we're right about at IDG, is the expected potential of cloud to do exactly that, to free IT up from a lot of the onerous operational tasks.
Right.
Certainly not without a job, because there's plenty you can do from a strategic point of view. In fact, that's where you can really make a very significant impact. I believe so anyway.
Yeah, I talk about that a lot with my management team, that our jobs are changing, and a huge skill set for us is vendor management. Yeah. That really wasn't a skill set we talked about 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. You know, you bought software and then you said goodbye to the vendor for the most part. With cloud, you're managing and working with that vendor all the time and making sure that the relationship or the partnership is really benefiting you, making sure that they're on top of what you need them to be doing, figuring out how to use it well, bringing them in as expert guides on that. So it's a really different skill set, and it's one that you have to really think about managing and developing in your IT group.
Great. Nancy, are there other benefits you anticipate accruing specifically to IDG?
Yeah, there definitely are. I think we look at archiving email. Our industry doesn't have stringent requirements for that, but we do archive email. And by putting it into the cloud, it becomes a self-service item for the employee for the most part, and takes a big load off of IT from having to manage a separate archiving solution. We also have disaster recovery and availability. Again, when it's on premise, you have to weigh the investment that you're going to make in making email available 24 hours a day, and like I said, finding that maintenance window and backup windows and everything else. You don't have to worry about that in the cloud. And so we are no longer going to have to worry about that availability window because it's always going to be available. I think also there's sort of the security aspect of it. You know, a lot of people worry about security in the cloud. They think that that's going to be an issue. But actually, these companies are held to a higher standard than we are. And so if I had to pass the tests that they pass, we'd be investing more money than I'd ever get in my budget for that. And they're already there. So the security is much better than we could ever do with our budgets, and more reliable and more available. So to me, that's huge benefits for everybody.
So you're absolutely leveraging the expertise of the provider, is essentially what you're saying.
Absolutely.
It's great. And last question, Nancy, how is your group going about disseminating information to the the hundreds of people that you're going to be supporting about this change? What are you going to be doing?
Well, we do a lot of emails, and then we build a info center portal basically off of our help desk site. And we've put resources out there, videotapes. You know, most cloud vendors have a lot of free education that's available about their product. So we put in links for all of that. We take advantage of what we can do there. We're also developing our own little webcasts internally to show people how to use things, how to do them well, publish those all out on the portal as well.
Oh, great. So you're leveraging the technology itself.
Exactly.
Well, this is, like I say, personally exciting for all of us here in my group, and a very best of luck to you with the rollout and all.
Well, thank you.
Nancy Newkirk, Vice President of Technology and CIO at IDG, thank you very much for being my guest here today.
Sure, thank you, Bill.
And I'm Bill Laberis with IDG saying thank you very much for joining us here today as well.